Hey everyone, this is Craig Fear with Fearless Eating, and today I'm going to show you how to make Asian noodle soups without recipes. And there's two reasons I'm doing this today. The first is today is April 12th, 2020, and what that means is we are in the middle of this unprecedented, crazy COVID-19 / coronavirus pandemic, and you are probably stuck at home like myself. We're all quarantined, and Asian noodle soups are a great way to kind of make some simple, easy, affordable meals. And the second reason is I've been doing this for many years myself, and I've been to Asia many times, and the noodle soups of Asia are probably my absolute favorite meal everywhere I go, and they're such an everyday part of their culture and their cuisine that when you kind of start to experience them enough, you start to realize that there's a lot of unifying things about them, and that there's a lot more similarities than differences. And I've learned to kind of easily make these things at home, and I really just kind of, more often than not, will kind of riff and improvise things and come up with some really incredible, simple, delicious meals. So that's what I want to show you today. Now, I've come up with a 5-step process to put these things together. The first 4 are pretty basic and pretty easy, and I've already prepared them so that when I show you how I do this, that's going to come together very quickly. The one I want to really kind of talk you through and demonstrate a little bit is the last step, which is what I've got set up here to show you. So let me just talk you through the first 4. Again, really simple, the first 4 steps to make these things at home, again, without recipes. First step, number 1, is to choose your broth. Pretty simple. Any broth is going to work. Pork, chicken, beef, combinations of those things. A vegetable broth. You could use seafood broths, fish broth, a shellfish broth. Pretty simple. Now, you do want to have these. It's good to have these ready to go at home. If you don't, you have to make one from scratch. This is why I'm a big proponent of making large batches of broth, so you always have them ready to go. They're easily frozen. If you don't have one ready, boxed broth is okay, not ideal, but there are some decent quality ones in stores now. Good organic one. Kettle and Fire is probably a popular one. A few others escaping me off the top of my head right now. But ideally, you want to have your own broth you've made at home ready to go. The second step is to choose your noodles. Pretty simple. There are 2 types, basic types of Asian noodles. The first, and the one I use 90% of the time, is rice noodles. These are your basic kind of rice noodles here. It's called a pad thai or a rice stick noodle. Basic medium kind of, what they call a medium flat kind of rice noodle. You also got your vermicelli, another common one. I kind of stocked up on these on my Asian market the other day. I use those 90% of the time, but they're also wheat noodles, and there's a lot of different types of wheat noodles. Egg noodles, udon noodles, soba noodles, soma noodles. You choose kind of whatever you want, whatever your heart desires. And finally, there are some grain-free noodles that use different starches like sweet potato starch or mung bean. I don't use them very much, but if you're grain-free, you can choose those too. So that's step 1. Step 2, step 3 is to choose your protein / meat. Any meat you got in the fridge, it's all gonna work. Pork, chicken, beef, whatever you got, any cut of meat. Look for obviously the cheaper cuts of meats. Ground meat is great for making simple meatballs. Whatever you got. Also, don't forget about eggs. Eggs are great. You can poach them right in broth. I like to soft boil them sometimes, which I've done today, and I'll show you that later. And they make great additions to noodle soups of Asia. It's very common in Asia with different meats. They'll put like a little egg in there or poach one. You can also just do an egg noodle soup too. Very simple, basic kind of soup. So you got your first 3 steps, and the 4th step, choose your vegetables and your aromatics. Any vegetables you want are going to work. I like to use a lot of greens, but anything you want, broccoli, onions, carrots, you name it, it's going to work. And your aromatics are kind of your very pungent things like vegetables, spices, herbs. This is an important step. This is where you're going to infuse your broth with some really wonderful flavors and aromas. And on my website, if you're on my blog page right now, below this video, you'll see a list of the different types of aromatics you can choose from. If you're seeing this on YouTube, just click the link in the below the video, take you to my blog, and you can see all your choices. If you've never done this before, I'll give you the most basic, easy starting point. Ginger, garlic, and onions. Chop them up, saute them in a little oil. They'll bring out some wonderful flavors. You add your broth, you'll simmer it for like 5 minutes, and you'll infuse that broth with a nice kind of foundational background kind of flavor that'll work with step 5. And step 5 is what I want to show you here. And step 5 is, out of the way, is you're going to now choose your seasonings. And this is where you're going to really kind of come up with a lot of different combinations and different kind of flavor profiles that you're going to pick and choose. And you're going to vary it each time. And you have a lot of choices. And you're going to season these soups to your liking, however you like. And you can mess around with it and come up with different combinations of things every single time. So in Asia, when we're talking about seasonings, we're talking really about what's called the 4 S's of flavor, which you'll see a lot in different combinations in Asian cuisine, and that's salty, spicy, sour, and sweet. And there's a lot of different choices, but I've kind of come up with like the most basic things that you can find pretty much in most even conventional supermarkets. And you'd be surprised how many things you can find there and how many amazing things you can make. So let me just kind of talk through each one, and then I will actually do this with, I'll put it all together with something I've literally made up. I have not tasted it yet. I have literally kind of, in the true spirit of this video, made an Asian noodle soup without a recipe, and I'm going to be trying it for the first time. So when it comes to the seasonings to season your soup, let's talk about number 1, which is salty. And that's pretty much always going to come down to one of these 2 things, which is soy sauce or fish sauce. You can choose whichever one you want. Fish sauce is a little more common in Southeast Asia. This is a little more common in East Asia. But you can use both of them too. Whichever one you want to season your soup with, you can, whichever one. Typically, I like fish sauce a little bit more. And that's the salty. And then the spicy pretty much comes down to chilies and different forms of chilies. So here's fresh kind of Thai bird's eye chilies. You won't always find these in supermarkets, but you can use other types of chilies. Jalapenos and serranos are good choices. 2 different ways you can add fresh chilies to a soup is to kind of saute them in oil with your aromatics. Now, warning on that, that can really make your soup really spicy. Personally, I usually will do the other way, which is to chop them and add them separately. Kind of controls the heat a little bit better. If you don't like spicy, I just want to say a lot of Westerners, Americans, they don't like spice. Fine, you don't have to add spicy. A lot of soups, sometimes I like spice, sometimes I don't. Kind of your choice. But you can also do, this is kind of a less spicy version, just kind of dried ground chilies in powder form or flake form. You can choose those. It won't be quite as potent as these. Or different hot sauces. You know, whatever you got, whatever you like. You can kind of add a little bit at a time. Most people know the kind of the conventional Rooster brand, as they call it, sriracha hot sauce. Sometimes I will choose or look for like little kind of artisan kind of companies and brands that kind of make a different version of it. I don't love this. Some people do. You can see I've had this for a while. I've barely used any of it. I kind of like to use these different ones sometimes. So spicy, and then here's your sour, and that's pretty much going to come down to lime juice. Let's squeeze a lime, or vinegar. Pretty simple. One of those 2. And it kind of just depends on what you're making. I'll let your intuition kind of tell you. And again, obviously with vinegar, you're going to go very slow. You're just going to add a little bit. You're not going to douse your soup in vinegar. That wouldn't taste very good. Just a little bit. And the last one is sweet. Now when I say sweet, I don't mean sickeningly sweet. I mean just a little bit, a hint of sugar. Many Asian soups are sweetened just a little bit. For example, pho, Vietnamese pho, has a little sweetening to it. A lot of Thai soups have sweetening to it as well. And you can use different types of sugar. Like this is a granulated, I like to use coconut sugar. You can use granulated coconut sugar. I prefer to use something like this. This is a kind of a hard paste coconut sugar. And it's like kind of like, I call it the maple syrup of Southeast Asia. And you kind of dissolve that in a hot broth. It has a little bit more of a kind of caramelized, richer flavor than kind of the granulated form. And the last thing I'll say is that sometimes you can make, what's really fun, what I like to do is you can make actual different kind of sauces or seasonings, homemade ones. On my blog, I have the 2 most basic Thai seasonings, and I have them right here. I always have these in my fridge. These are great to mess around and experiment with. This is chilies in fish sauce. As you can see, you'll see this on every table in Thailand and other parts of Asia, and this is chilies in vinegar. You can use any type of chilies you want. And this is jalapenos in vinegar. Not quite as spicy. I love having these things in my fridge, and I'll use them for more than just soups too. You can use them on fried rices. Sometimes I'll use them in things like egg dishes. I love these things. All right, so I think let's do it now. Let's kind of put this all together. And let me kind of take you over here. And I've got this, I've kind of prepared steps 1 through 4, and then I'm gonna kind of season it as I showed you. So I got my rice noodles ready to go. They've been kind of sitting over here, so they could be a little clumpy. Usually they're hot and they don't stick together as much. So I'll put about that much in, right? And now this is my soup, which I totally improvised. And I haven't tasted it yet. So I did chicken and a chicken broth. I threw in some, as you can see, some bok choy there. And you're just gonna scoop it right over. You can see that's a little, I put some star anise in there. I love star anise, a really nice spice. I put in some fennel seeds. I did use some galangal, which is like a Thai ginger. You won't always find that in stores, but I have a really nice Asian supermarket near me. Look at that, doesn't it look beautiful? And now come on over here. And basically, this is the fun part. This is the part where you're really gonna just, season it however you want it. And these are pretty, flavorful, pungent seasonings. So you gotta go slow and little by little. So I'm gonna go fish sauce. I always like fish sauce. I'll kind of give it a little taste to see where it's at. Yep, good nice umami flavor, but it definitely needs more. I do not fear the salt. I like a lot, more than most people. But go slow, and you'll kind of mix it in, give it a little taste again. I could do a little bit more, and you'll just kind of do this with each seasoning. And then I'll go into I'm gonna keep it simple. I'm gonna just do a little bit of this, little pinch of the red chili flakes today. I'm not gonna go super spicy. I'm gonna go a little bit of lime juice. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go more than vinegar today. And you know what? I really love the chilies and the vinegar. That's what I'm gonna do. And again, just go slow with vinegar. And I don't like a ton of chilies. I have a little bit of tolerance to heat, but not huge. And then I'll taste it again. Oh yeah, there it is. It's good. That is fantastic. And the last thing, I'm gonna put a nice, I have these soft-boiled eggs I did before. I just love soft-boiled eggs in soups. And I got some herbs, some nice fresh Asian herbs, cilantro, Thai basil, mint, whatever. And the point here is just to wing it and have fun and improvise, and you'll come up with some amazing, you won't believe some of the things you'll come up with. I gotta just try this one more time. Look at that. Have a little close-up. Does that look good? I mean, this did not take me long. Once you have your broth made, it all comes together really quickly. And sometimes, you're gonna it's just gonna be like, I just want salty today. Some days it's gonna be like, you know what? I want salty and sour. You're gonna come up with different, you're gonna kind of feel your way through it. Your intuition will tell you what you want today. It'll vary with the seasons. But once you get these basic kind of seasoning combinations down, like the world is your oyster when it comes to Asian noodle soup. You can come up with all these things so quickly, and you'll kind of be able to change it and vary it every little time. So you're not having, you have to make a soup and you're having the same thing every time. You can kind of come up with, change the meats, change the aromatics, change the noodles next time, and you can come up with these very different things, from very similar ingredients. So that's how I do it. I think I'll wrap it up right there. I'm really hungry. I'm gonna eat this right now. It smells really good. And thanks for, thanks for tuning in, and stay safe everywhere, everyone out there. Have a great day. Thank you very much.